Hey everyone, Hannah Levin here with Heartfelt Wellbeing, and today we're going to be doing a little class on ghee. Just learning about ghee because I have a workshop coming up this Friday, the full moon, November 19th, where we will be making ghee. And I wanted to let you all know a little bit more about why you might want to learn to make ghee because it's pretty magical. It's a really, really amazing food. So, ghee is clarified butter. It is butter that is boiled until the milk solids separate out from it. And the milk solids are what tend to gunk up the arteries when you eat butter. And when that is removed, then ghee is a pure fat that is beneficial in so many ways. Hi, Beverly. Hi, Marcia. Glad to see you all here. Beverly says, I was just reading about ghee. Glad to know how to make it. Very curious. Yeah, so I'm not going to be telling you specifically how to make it today. I hope you'll join my workshop on Friday to learn the specifics of how to make it and read the signs of your ghee as you're making it. But today I want to get you curious about why ghee is a powerful food and definitely something that you would like to learn to make because you can buy ghee and it's more and more common in grocery stores. However, it's like twice the price of butter, which is all you need to make ghee. And so in the long run, if you learn to make your own ghee, you'll be able to save a lot of money and be more knowledgeable about what the source of the butter is and how it's made and what you need to put into it or like when it's good to make it and things like that. So we'll go into that today. So, yeah, Beverly said, why not just buy it? But I'm all about saving money. Yeah. So it's a great place, especially if you incorporate ghee regularly into your diet over time, it will be a good money saving um, proposition. And it's also really helpful to know why, where, and how the ghee was made. And so when you make it in your own kitchen, you can have all of those questions answered. So, ghee is important specifically during Vata season. So, last week I did a live specifically about this time of year if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. It is the autumn going into winter. And so the environment is cold and dry, it's mobile, there's more wind. There's a rough quality to it. We get dried out. And there's also this subtle and mobile quality that is sometimes felt most in the mind, more as anxiety or overwhelm. So if you didn't watch last week's live, please go back and watch that because you'll gain a lot of compassion, probably for yourself and other people around you that are struggling with Vata, or you might just gain some insight about how you're affected by this season of air and space. And we're all affected by that. So one of those qualities is dryness, and roughness is another quality. And we need to look towards hydration to balance out. Remember, Ayurveda is all about balancing with the wisdom of opposites. So we look at what's happening. The reality is there's a dryness, a lightness, a roughness that's in the qualities of our environment and showing up in our bodies in different ways. Maybe we're having more issues with dry skin or dry eyes or constipation. Or just feeling ungrounded or unsettled or unfocused. And so ghee brings in these qualities of hydration. So we're no longer dry. It brings in smoothness. So there's this quality that soothes the rough quality. And then it also brings in a heaviness. It's grounding, it's dense. And that helps balance out the lightness or the ungrounded feeling we might have during this season. Beverly asked, does it taste like butter? It does, and it's a little bit different, but it's a great replacement for butter. And I'll talk in a moment about how you can use ghee just in your everyday life. It's it's a more mild taste, I would say, than butter, and ghee is made with unsalted butter. So if you're used to salted butter, it will taste quite different to you. If butter to you is a salty food, the ghee is unsalted, and I love the taste of it. Um, and it is very similar to butter. Ghee is shelf stable, which is another awesome thing about using it, especially in the cooler weather when things tend to be hardened, right? So if you keep butter in the refrigerator, it's hard. We don't want to be eating cold food at all during the cold weather. And so getting cold things out of the refrigerator doesn't work so well for us supporting our health. And so ghee can just sit out on the counter. We want to be careful that no water or any sort of other liquid moisture gets into it, and also no food contamination. So if anything gets into the jar of ghee, it will mold. And so you want to make sure you use a fresh spoon every time you use the ghee, or that we keep a dedicated spoon in our ghee so that it's just the ghee spoon and it doesn't touch anything else and nothing else goes in the jar. So I actually have a little jar of ghee right here. This is one that I've been eating on. See how beautiful it is? It's just this golden yellow color, and it's like liquid gold for your system. And so you can see it's not liquidy, right? It's not like dripping. Oh, it is dripping. But most of it is pretty solid, dripping out of the container. There are a few drips in there, but it's mostly solid, but it's soft, and so you can dip it out here easily. So, um, I want to go into some of the health benefits of ghee, but before I do that, I want to share with you how you can use it, because if you're just like, yeah, it sounds like a good thing to do, what can I do with it? You can use it just like you would use butter. So you can use it for cooking, you can saute things, you can add it to dishes just like you would butter. And you can also use it in baking. So I love using ghee to line pans too. Like if I'm making a cake, it's very nice to help things release from the sides of the pan. You can use it in place of butter or other oils in any of your recipes. In addition, especially if you have more Vata predominance in your constitution, and if you don't know what your constitution is, go to my website, heartfeltwellbeing.com, and take the quiz, and you can see, at least get an initial idea of what your constitution is. If you have more vata in your constitution or more dryness, lightness, eating more ghee can be really helpful, especially this time of year when vata is predominant. So adding ghee to your meal. So like I often make my meal. So like yesterday I had rice with some butternut squash and greens and some dal, some lentil dal. And then I just put a dollop of ghee into my bowl. I need a little more ghee because I am very light and tend towards being cold, and I tend towards being dry. So, ghee has been an incredibly healing medicinal food in my life. And so, this is a big reason why I'm like such a passionate educator about ghee, is because it is a healing food. And so you can eat it just like you would butter, but it has more health benefits than butter. And you can use it additionally, which I'll get into a little bit later. So you can add it into food like what I just mentioned, like put a little dollop in your bowl, and mix it in or add it to soups or stews. So you just have a little bit more of that hydrating, lubricating, grounding quality in your meal should you need that. If you are more kapha predominant, meaning the elements of earth and water are more predominant in your constitution, having a lot of ghee doesn't make sense for you. You have enough lubrication naturally in your body, you have enough grounding qualities. So, ghee can be used sparingly. Still, it's a helpful food, but not as, don't use it as liberally as what I was just saying that I do. I have hardly any kapha in my constitution. So again, we want to, everything in Ayurveda is individualized, right? So we don't want to say this is what everybody should do. So I'll try to tune into that as we go through here, but just know that everybody can benefit, but the amount of ghee that you consume will look different depending on your constitution and imbalances and life stage. So these are all good pieces to be learning about as you embrace living an Ayurvedic lifestyle. So I I wanted to gather a whole bunch of really powerful facts, and if you've gotten my newsletter for the past 2 weeks, you've gotten to learn some about ghee. I'm going to be looking down here at my notes, so um, so here are some really great um, benefits of ghee. Um, and so ghee is made up of short, medium, and long chain fatty acids. So these are really helpful. It's a combination of unsaturated and saturated fats. Our brains are made out of fat. We need to feed good, healthy, beneficial fats to ourselves so that our brains can be fed. And also, we support beneficial gut bacteria with these different fats. So, omega 3 and omega 9 essential fatty acids are found in ghee, and those are found to support heart health and cognitive function. We have become so afraid of fat in our diets that we think that having fat is scary and causes health issues. And nothing could be further from the truth if you're eating the right types of fat. So if you have beneficial fat in your diet, and ghee is just one of them, other things are like avocados, olive oil, as long as it's not cooked. This is another thing. We want to not cook olive oil. It has a low smoke point. Ghee has a very high smoke point, which means it can be used successfully to cook lots of things, even at high heat, without changing those fatty acid chains. Sesame oil is another beneficial fat. So back to ghee. Ghee also contains the vitamins A, D, E, and K, which make up the foundation of our skin, our hormones, our metabolic function. And K specifically is a vitamin that is challenging to find in a lot of food sources, but is very helpful for successful deposition of calcium in the body, meaning it helps the body know where to send calcium instead of having it calcify in our arteries, say, or places that we don't want calcification to happen. Um, Ghee is one of the highest natural sources of linoleic acid. Um, and so this is helpful in regulating blood sugar, helps with bone density, immunity, and more. So when we have the support of the magic of ghee or the medicine of ghee, it supports us on these very basic levels. Our bones, our immunity, our nervous systems. We in our nervous systems alone, we need hydration and lubrication for the synapses, for the dendrites, for all of the myelin sheaths to remain myelinated. When we deprive our bodies of healthy fats, we can end up with nervous system issues. And we're seeing this more and more on the rise, with more people getting diagnosed with, from an Ayurvedic perspective, of Vata elevated diseases, things like Alzheimer's, MS, Parkinson's. These are Vata issues left unattended for way too long when there's not been the support of these systems that I just mentioned by things like ghee. I'm not saying that you just start eating ghee and your Parkinson's goes away at all. Okay. Don't misunderstand me there. But Vata aggravation, Vata elevation over time leads from lots of different diet, lifestyle, all those pieces come together. So we can help ourselves stay healthy and not deal with these issues if we are maintaining healthy fat intake and specifically ghee. And in Ayurveda, ghee is seen as the best fat. It's very much a medicinal food. So what else does ghee do? Ghee swaps old bile for new. So when you take ghee into your body, and this is more if you're doing like a cleanse, and I'm actually doing this right now. I'm eating 3 meals a day, but every morning when I get up before the sunrise, I am drinking melted ghee. And this is to flush out the gallbladder. And so ingesting ghee, so I'm doing 2 tablespoons of melted ghee every morning, and it's not actually that gross. And it what it does is it flushes the gallbladder. Basically, it sends in this increased dosage of fat and forces the gallbladder to like pump it through, so it clears out the sludge that's in the gallbladder and stimulates the liver to make new bile. And then bile acts as the intestinal scrub. So that in concert with the butyric acid that's in ghee. So butyric acid is a really, really helpful ingredient in our gut. It feeds our gut microbiome, and there are very few foods that are very high in butyric acid. Ghee is the highest. As long as it's from grass-fed organic milk, that's what we want to have. So we're healing the gut walls with the butyric acid in the ghee, the gut lining, and the gallbladder is flushing out. Pretty great. Ghee often softens what is hardened in the tissues as well. So you can imagine it kind of coming through your body. And if there are things that are stuck or stagnant, or like just tension and holding patterns in the body, the ghee can help lubricate and soften the tissues in the entire body. It's like hydrating from the inside out. Ghee also pulls out toxic substances from their hiding places. So when we look at the gut lining, if you've seen pictures of it, there's little crevices where stuff can hide out. So it can be bacterial infections, it can be what we just call ama in Ayurveda, which is undigested food stuff, or toxins, because things that hang out in the gut too long create a toxic load in our bodies. So when we have ghee coming through the digestive tract, it pulls out that gunk that's been hiding out in those little crevices and moves it on through your body. Ghee burns as a clean, stable fuel in the body, meaning that if you are used to eating a lot of carbohydrates, a lot of sugars, you might find that you eat a meal and then soon afterwards you're hungry again. And this is a sign that you're not actually getting the nourishment that you need. And so ghee is really helpful. It's a fat that stabilizes your blood sugar, but it also slows down that fast burning nutrition. And so it can help you create more long lasting energy throughout the day. And then yeah, so ghee flushes old bile from the body. It stimulates the liver to make new bile. It scrubs the intestines of toxic substances and bad bugs. It supports the primary source of energy and immunity for gut cells. It's helpful for beneficial gut bacteria that make butyrate, which is the butyric acid. It lubricates and softens hard tissues, pulls stored fat, soluble toxic material, and molecules of emotions out of the body. It encourages fat metabolism and a healthy weight. Here again, we often think like fat creates fat. That's quite the opposite. Sugar creates fat. So when we have healthy fat intake, we actually lose weight or gain weight, whatever we need. We create a healthy metabolism and healthy weight. And it also helps support stable mood and energy levels. So if we feel like we're all over the place mentally, having ghee in your diet can be very calming to the nervous system, which in turn means the mind. And it supports the body's natural defense mechanisms against bad bacteria and overgrowth. So it's like a win-win food. Again, it's not something that you necessarily need to eat lots of year round, but this time of year, Vata season, it is very helpful to have more lubrication, more hydration, and more grounding for most of us, especially because we live in a Vata elevated culture. So we're constantly dealing with sensory overload, lots of things happening in our worlds at once, multitasking. And so having a little extra support from our nutrition is very helpful. So yeah, I mentioned cleansing with ghee. So ghee has been used for millennia, for thousands and thousands of years as a cleansing food, but then also to be taken on its own to help cleanse the body and the mind. We will be making our ghee on Friday, which is the full moon of November. And I wanted to talk a little bit about why we would choose to make ghee on the full moon, or why that is even part of this conversation. So, we do look at the energies of the lunar cycles, and that when the moon is waxing, meaning becoming fuller towards the full moon and on the full moon, is the most auspicious time to make ghee. And this is because there's this quality of soma in Sanskrit, Soma, that is like this blissful nourishment, fullness quality that is what we want to infuse our ghee with. So it's best to make ghee during the few days before and during the full moon, and that it infuses the ghee with the soma so that you are ingesting that full moon energy into your body. And isn't that a nice invitation, like to have that energy coming into your being and nourishing you on top of the nutritive aspects of ghee? That energetic quality is really beautiful. One of the interesting things is that this coming full moon is, oh, good. Beverly says blissful, nourishing fullness. Love this picture. Yes, that's what it's all about. Like we can be easeful and nourished and, loving in our lives. And a lot of times that starts with us and how we are living, how we're nourishing ourselves, how we're working within our own households and in our families. So yes, ghee is a great place to start that intention. So this coming Friday, or this coming full moon, there's a lunar eclipse, which is not ideal for making ghee. And so I realized this after I had already scheduled this workshop and put the publicity out there. But what I realized, I looked it up and I was like, okay, is the eclipse actually going to be happening while we're doing our ghee? And it is not. So the eclipse is actually finishing in the morning of the 19th, and then we'll be making our ghee in the evening. So we will have that energy of the full moon post eclipse. And so why an eclipse isn't ideal is because it is blocking, kind of logically, it's blocking the light from the full moon. And so just like it's not ideal to make ghee during the waning moon, it's also not ideal to make it during an eclipse. But don't fear, we will not be making it during the eclipse on the 19th. The eclipse will be over, the moon will be available to us again in its fullness to create the wonderful soma. So traditionally, Ayurveda Ayurvedic preparations of ghee were that you would also chant or sing over the ghee, which is again like a really lovely practice to connect with as you're creating a medicinal food to chant and sing. So I hope that this is really exciting and interesting to you to think about. I mean, we have these conversations about food as medicine a lot, and we really in the West to break it down into like what are the nutritional components of food. And one of the things that I like to encourage folks to bring back in is the energetic components of the food and really nurturing your body to receive the food, because you could eat the most beautiful food in the world, but if your digestive strength, your Agni, your digestive fire, isn't healthy, it's not going to benefit you. If you can't digest and absorb the nutrients and the energy from the food that you're consuming, it really doesn't matter if you're eating the most beautiful food in the world or not. And so when we look at creating the health that allows us to receive the most benefit from the food, body, mind, and spirit, then we have true wellness, true balance, true vitality. And so, even those of us living in the West, we can come back to this invitation of how do we nourish ourselves? And ghee is a great place to start. Learning to make it for yourself is really empowering. And so, I hope you'll consider joining us this Friday. I'll post the link with this video and learn how to make your own ghee. And I'll be going way more into the specifics of the hows and the wonderful uses and more of the science behind how ghee benefits us. So I hope you'll join us this Friday, 7 to 8 p.m. Eastern. And if you want to sign up but cannot make that time, it will be recorded and I can send you the replay. And so I hope that you'll take advantage of this learning opportunity during Vata season, during a time when you can use the extra support for your health, your vitality, your immunity, your calmness and ease in your mind. So I hope to see you all very soon. Thanks for being here. If you're watching the replay, type #replay and I will answer any questions that you all post as well. Take care.